Hello again from Reynolds Razorback Stadium, where tonight the Mississippi State running game made Arkansas fold up like tinfoil. Okay, I couldn't resist. And that goes, oh, cheap, yes, I know. But when you've seen this offense struggle for the last couple of weeks trying to get their footing literally underneath them, to come out, strike fast, 17 points early, take that lead, run the ball effectively, both Tommy Stevens, the new starting quarterback, as we hinted at in pregame there, Kylan Hill, maybe 2 carries short of a record day by a quarterback, Nick Gibson, 129 yards himself. This was the offensive day the Bulldogs needed.
David, I don't know that Mississippi State could have scripted it any better. You come out, and yes, we did have the element of surprise, and we did kind of give you guys a hint that Tommy Stevens, even using his picture on our pregame video, and it's not a case of we know something you don't know. We're trying to hint as best we can, but David, you come out there, the very first thing that happens is you get a pre-snap penalty, and I think every Mississippi State fan in the country at that point just felt a gut punch. But
at least everyone on our message boards, because then the game was over at that point.
Right, and thankfully we do play 60 minutes, but Kylan Hill rips off a big one early, and Tommy Stevens gets a couple things going early in the quarterback run. That really hadn't been his game. That's really been more Garrett Schrader. We were told pre-week, I guess during the game week, David, that there was some design runs for Tommy Stevens that we haven't really shown as much with him. And so they come out, Tommy gets going, you get a couple scores early. There was probably 40,000 people here. They say 52,000 paid to be here. There weren't 52,000 people here to see it. But the ones that the Razorback fans that were here were sitting on their hands pretty early.
Again, Tommy Stevens got the start, and simply not because he was more effective in practice than Garrett Schrader, though he was, it turned out. Garrett Schrader was sick during the week. We heard about that in pregame, but we couldn't confirm it. We wanted to wait till it actually happened, but it turned out to be true. Garrett Schrader was not needed today because, as Steve said, State was able to design some plans this week around Stevens' skills. And by the way, let's remind you that this is the Tommy Stevens that Joe Moorhead went out and recruited as a graduate transfer to be quarterback. We have not seen that since the second quarter of the Southern Miss game, but now you're seeing what State's been missing on the offensive side. No disrespect to Schrader, obviously, but Tommy Stevens brings that all-around element. Certainly look at his passing day, 12 of 18, 2 touchdowns, marvelous catch by Cyrus Mitchell. Used all his 6'5" height to go over a 6-foot defender to make that catch, but the ball had to be thrown just perfectly, too. Tommy Stevens was decisive. When he tried to run, he ran quickly. He didn't wait, didn't stand out of the pocket. He had one negative rush all day, and that was in a goal line situation where things stacked up on him. That was as efficient a game as a State quarterback could play in this setting.
Well, the bottom line is State surprised Arkansas. They surprised them with who was going to start at quarterback, and then they surprised them again with the fact that Tommy Stevens ran the ball effectively because of the fact that everybody in the stadium knew that number 8 was going to be the main cog of their defensive game plan. So what do? They're all shading that direction, so Tommy keeps and has some keepers underneath, and the next thing you know, he's gashing them for rushing yards. And you could just see that the Arkansas sideline was stunned, especially how quickly State went down the field and scored. It was 14-0, I think, before Chad Morrison and realized Tommy Stevens was in the game. And you mentioned Garrett Schrader. Garrett did dress, did go through warm-ups, did not go through first-team drills, and people were kind of catching on to that, some of our media peers. But, Garrett we'll have the bye week to kind of get better. And Joe Moorhead said that we didn't anticipate it being anything long-term, but at least now Tommy Stevens is finally healthy again. And you referenced it, David. The first 6 quarters of the season when Tommy Stevens was healthy was pretty good offensively. We got a taste of that back tonight.
And talking to Schrader and Hill both post-game, we brought up the same subject that Arkansas was definitely game planning for Kylan Hill. And so Stevens took advantage. But once they adjusted to cover the quarterback keeper, all of a sudden Kylan Hill's able to run wild. 234 yards, just not too far short Nick Fitzgerald's record in the 2016 Egg Bowl. But bigger point, the way that Nick Gibson ran the ball as well, and Stevens, State, 460 rushing yards, which is the all-time Bulldog record in an SEC game.
And you also get a career high from Kylan Hill, a career high from Nick Gibson. I don't know what Weatherspoon's numbers ended up being, but you might have had a career high there too. Every Bulldog back that touched the football tonight got positive yards. And there was just an edge with this offensive line.
I was going to bring that up, yes.
All game long on the sidelines. I mean, there's Darrell Williams, there's Tommy Champion. They were as vocal as they've ever been. And I think this team, in many respects, felt like, this is a team we can come out and impose our will upon. a team that has kind of whined all week long that they were disrespected. A couple of Razorbacks in particular said Mississippi State showed us no respect last year. We're not going to respect them this year. Well, the Bulldog offensive line paved the way for some respect tonight.
And it was a patched-together line again, too. LaQuinston Sharp got a start, and he played well enough at A&M. We kind of expected that if Stuart Reese was not available. Reese did dress out. He was here, but they decided to hold him out. Greg Island did play. I noticed the second half he was limping there a little bit, so Champion got most of his snaps early on in the game. But the offensive line was as aggressive and efficient as they've been all season. They made some things possible. The Bulldogs caught the ball well, a couple of low throws that were kind of borderline. But let's talk about the big defensive moment of the game. We'll talk more about the defense in general. Let's get to the pick six by Marcus Murphy. Not just a huge momentum-type play, but a very emotional play, which his video that you will be providing tonight on the site will explain to fans why.
Yeah, and he talked about his why, about his losing his mother, and then his son having the health issues, and how this has been his family. This Mississippi State team has been his family, and to step in front of a pass in his first college start and run it back. And David, I think everybody in the stadium knew as soon as he jumped the route that it was going to be a touchdown. And what a great moment that was. But, I think it also shows, too, David, when Marcus Murphy and Willie Gay are in the lineup, it's a different defense. When this defense is playing with those two guys, it's a different offense. It's a different team. And that's the thing that Mississippi State's had to navigate the entire year is this Tudor Gate 10 situation. Well, the good news is they've got one more SEC game that they'll have to sit. Just one more. And then you've got the Abilene Christian game, and then we'll be full strength for that Ole Miss game. Lee Autry didn't play tonight. We've kind of been forecasting that. Didn't expect him to play, but the Bulldogs will be full strength when they play Ole Miss, and finally this Tudor Gate 10 business will be behind this roster.
We knew coming in Arkansas had quarterbacking issues. They've been bouncing back and forth between Ben Hicks, Nick Starkle, who did not play tonight, and John Jones, and they even got their freshman in there, KJ Jefferson, a lot of talent. But still, Arkansas passing line 9 of 24 with the interception, the pick six, one touchdown pass, a good play obviously, but by then the game was over. State was able to feast on that, and basically, even though Rakeem Boyd had some good carries, you're thinking first carry of the game, 27 yards, oh boy, long day, but they shut him down the rest of the way pretty effectively. That the Dog defense, two things. One, as you say, they had some personnel that made it more available to what they could do in their schematically, but also they played with a lead, and that made all the difference in the world, Cam Dantzler told us.
Yeah, there's no doubt about it, because the margin for error is a lot bigger. When you've got a lead, you can be a little more aggressive defensively. You can get in there and get downhill, and I thought Rakeem Boyd's an NFL guy. He is a great player, but he's really the only bullet Arkansas has in the gun. So once you kind of took that away, and there were some times he had to kind of beg out of the game, and to his credit, he came back, played exceptionally well. You mentioned KJ Jefferson, a kid from North Panola High School, product of Carl Diffie, did a great job with him at North Panola. Our own Tevez Calhoun was an assistant on that staff. And so KJ's a guy Mississippi State recruited, elected to come to Arkansas. And it was kind of nice to see that kid have a moment, even though it was at our expense. But the Razorback student section chanting his name, and then he responds and leads a touchdown drive. I suspect KJ Jefferson can now play the remainder of these 4 games, the remaining 3 games, and preserve his redshirt year. I suspect you'll see a whole lot more of him the rest of the way.
Also, State is able to win the turnover battle decisively tonight again, and Tucker Day, only 2 punts, 86 yards, average 43, obviously. That is an efficient offensive day, and State could have actually piled on more there and had a chance to make it 21-0 instead of 17-0, but still, you're getting field goals. Jace Crispin knocks his pair through. You played pretty good coverage in some areas. Kickoff coverage still an issue there, but hey, State kicked off a whole lot tonight, so at least they had that fun part as well. So 54 points, the most State scored in an SEC game, since a long time, I guess. 52 last year against Arkansas. 2016. Yes, I do remember something about that one. Oh, no, I was there. Believe me, I don't forget that game. But 54, yes, Arkansas is a bad team this year. They're going to finish last in the SEC West. Still, this is a Bulldog team that had to have this win, and we've seen them before in other situations not show up sharp. They may get the win, but not be sharp. They came out the best prepared, the best focused, and they made their point, and even with a change at quarterback. And even with some guys missing in the offensive line of the positions, they came out as ready to play as they have been. They showed what they can do, and now bowl eligibility again remains within reach.
It does, David, and this bye week comes at a good time, not just because of an injury standpoint, but it gives the Bulldogs a chance to kind of ride this positive wave. You've got Alabama coming home, and the best thing about November now is the road work is done. The final 3 games of the season will be at Davis Wade Stadium. We're going to need all the fans to be there. the fact that State won tonight, you mentioned everything is now remains possible. You have a chance. And listen, we don't have any delusions about upsetting Alabama. You never know. We're going to play the game. But there are 2 winnable games left on the schedule that Mississippi State should be favored in. And so this is the big one. This was the one you had to get to make sure everything remained possible. And now they are. It's still available.
So Mississippi State, 54-24 here at Reynolds Razorback Stadium. A big victory for State. Now 4-5 on the season, 2-4 SEC play, and again, bowl eligibility very much within grasp again. State has an open date this week. We believe we'll get a chance to talk to Coach Joe Moorhead and some particular players on Wednesday. The reason being a short practice week and Bulldog basketball on Tuesday night as well. Keep that in mind, too. So a good reason to be back on campus for midweek action for the other sport that's just getting started. Lady Bulldogs also getting their season going as well. But for right now, the attention is on Bulldog football. Joe Moorhead's team pulls out an SEC road win. And now the losing streak's over. November is underway in the right way. Mississippi State still has its goals in front of it for the rest of this 2019 season. For our team from Genius Space 24/7 here in Fayetteville, for Steve Robertson, this is David Murray.